California statewide rent control. What? In this quick video, we're going to share with you about the 2019 Tenant Protection Act, what this means for tenants and for landlords. So in 2019, California passed a new law, assembly bill, that basically is designed to protect tenants from being evicted and from having rents go up at exorbitant rates. So what this assembly bill does is it limits the amount that you can raise rent in a 1-year period. So from the beginning of, let's say, January until the following year, under this new law, you are only allowed to raise rents 5% plus inflation. And the reason for this is because oftentimes tenants would have rents get jacked up hundreds of dollars more than they could afford, which did not match what their increase in income is. So what this means is now you can more stably predict what your rental rates will be. It's about 5% per year plus inflation, which could be about 2 to 3%. So your rent should go up no more than about 8% a year as time goes on. And this was designed to try and help predict what kind of increases in rent you could see. So that's part one of this bill. Part two is that you cannot evict someone unless you have just cause. So what is just cause? There's two types of just cause. There's at fault and no fault eviction. So you can evict someone if they are at fault for, there's pretty much maybe four main reasons why you can still get evicted today underneath this new state mandate. So number one, if you don't pay rent. So even in the midst of coronavirus, you still are required to pay rent. I had made a video earlier discussing that. You can go and watch that one at another time. But under this state mandate, you still have to pay rent. And if you do not pay rent, a landlord does still have the right to evict you. They must follow the proper procedure, give you a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit. And then if you don't pay rent within that time period, they can file an unlawful detainer, which is the beginning of the eviction process. So landlords still are able to evict tenants that do not follow the terms of the lease. So that's number one. Number two is if they breach the lease. So let's say your lease says no pets, and you bring in a cat, and the landlord finds out about it and gives you a 3-day notice to correct that situation, which means remove the cat from the premises or quit. And you don't correct it, you keep your cat. In that case, they can file an unlawful detainer against you and then evict you from the property for not following the lease that you signed and agreed to. And this, so any breach of the lease would allow for you to be evicted still. So make sure you read your lease, you understand what it says and what you could be liable for getting evicted for. Okay, the second or third thing is nuisance. So what is a nuisance? You can be evicted if you create a consistent nuisance on the property. And nuisance is anything that's undesirable or unpleasant to the senses. So cockfighting, dog fighting on the premises, you can get evicted for that. If you are playing loud music at all hours and you don't correct it or stop it after being given a notice, that's a nuisance. You can get evicted for that. So loud arguments between spouses, that's a nuisance to the neighborhood. And so you could get evicted for that. You want to correct that and keep that under control. And then another one is waste. What is waste? It's when a tenant devalues the property. If they're doing something destructive to the property, if they're breaking windows, destroying the inside of the property, not maintaining it well, a landlord does still have the right to evict a tenant for those reasons. So that is what's called at fault just cause eviction. Now there are what's called no fault just cause evictions. So you can still evict someone based on the following reasons. So let's say you are the landlord and you have decided, hey, you know what, I really want my house back, I want to live in it, and you're intending to occupy the property, you can evict a tenant for that reason. Or if you have a family member that is going to live in that property, you can evict that tenant to allow your family member to move into that property. So it's called no fault. It's protected because you're intending to have family or yourself occupy that property. Another no fault eviction that's allowed is if you're pulling your rental unit off of the housing market. Let's say you're tired, you're sick and tired of being a landlord, it's just too much for you. You're able to evict a tenant and pull that property off the market because you're done. You're just done being a landlord. A third option is if you are intending to significantly remodel the property or demolish the property. So let's say you've decided, you know what, we want to completely reconstruct, we want to do some constructions, do some additions. In that situation where you would need to relocate a tenant for greater than 30 days in order to do that construction or renovation, you are allowed to evict a tenant for those reasons. So let's review quickly. Just cause, no fault, you intend to occupy or have a family member occupy, you are pulling the property off the market, or you are going to significantly remodel or renovate that property. So those are the reasons why you could evict someone. So that's it. That's a little bit about the Tenant Protection Act. Please subscribe. Please follow us for more real estate information and updates. It's our passion to help educate and inspire other people to learn more about real estate, the effects that these new laws and legislations are having on the real estate market, to keep you educated and informed so you can make empowered real estate decisions. Thanks so much, everyone.